Alrighty, so sales track review. We've been talking about recruiting for about the last 5 weeks and how this integrates, actually going on our 6th week, how this integrates directly to our recruiting efforts. We've talked about a recruiting process, and it involves the first 6 steps of sales track that we can see listed there. With whom do I start? 15-second commercial, qualifying questions and tie downs, personal BARD stories, litmus tests, and setting the appointment in stone. I want to remind everybody that this is about 15 minutes of conversation. In some cases it could be 10, in some cases it could be 20. The reality is you want to gain their interest and try to move them forward to watching videos, setting appointments, and things of that nature. That's where your efforts are focused. We know in our step 2, once we've gained their interest, we want to send them videos. Step 3 is what we're going to be talking about today, your follow-up appointment, answer questions. What did you like the best, 3-way, close, recruiting, target. These areas are your recruiting process, and in your follow-up appointment, after they've watched some videos, after they've been turned on to the program, the opportunity a little bit, depending on what videos you sent them. If you sent them information in the way of videos from Mike Bunker and things of that nature, or some of the corporate videos that are also involved with the recruiting aspect of the program, how it operates, compensation, things of that nature. Then you begin your training and your support, 5 steps to success, the videos in the back office and everything along those ways. So from last week, your takeaways from setting the appointment in stone for me should be let them know what to expect for their appointment. I'm going to send you an email with information about Worth Unlimited, the program, the opportunities, some videos for you to watch. Depends on who you're speaking with. You can utilize Mike Bunker's video, cover products and comp, Worth Unlimited product videos, real-life demo and compensation video. This is why it's important for you to do self-training as an agent and go into the agent portal and watch videos, is so you know your audience, if you've asked the proper questions, if we followed sales track, if we've gained interest correctly, if we're truly setting an appointment in stone where they have the information that they need and they are going to watch the videos. You have a plethora, literally a plethora of videos to choose from that you can send to your client based on what they've talked to you about in their value proposition, that first conversation. That's why we have a variety there, is for you to get to know your client and decide what you want to send. Set an appointment for follow-up on this appointment where you're sending the videos. Set up your follow-up appointment. That's what we're going to talk about today. It gives a deadline for watching the video, and try to make that deadline within 24 to 48 hours. That would be last week. Setting your appointment in stone, the exchange of information, make sure you have everything you need. Let them know what to expect, what you're going to be going over. Confirm information and data, the videos they're going to watch, when they're going to watch them, get a deadline to watch those videos. All right, so sales track recruiting part 6, the follow-up appointment. Now, I love the way that Joan put this into context. That first question, what did you like best about what you saw or heard? This is your follow-up appointment. They've watched the videos. They've held to their promised time. You did follow up with them in between to verify they were going to get on the call, the webinar, meet you in person, whatever that was that you were working out for that appointment in stone for this follow-up appointment. So some of the reasons that we want to utilize this opening question, what do you like? It starts things off on a positive note, for one. It helps to find deeper what is important to them. What did they connect with? Why is that important to them? And I want you to understand that by starting this off on a positive note and allowing very broad questions and open-ended questions that you're asking, allowing them to really kind of expand, it's going to direct the conversation. It's just a reality. You're going to start picking up things in the way they talk, they communicate, what was important to them, how did it impact them, did they really pay attention? And that's the other part about asking them this question, because it's going to let you know what did they understand, how much they actually pay attention to the information that you wanted them to cover, and how serious were they about the opportunity? How serious were they about becoming an agent? Did they do their homework? Are they excited? Are they ready to go? Or was this an individual that was like, well, you know, I got busy and I watched half of this, and, Just tell me a little bit more about it and how this comes together. I mean, if you're trying to recruit somebody, that's not really a good start. So I'm gonna say that if an individual can't at least repeat some of the information from the videos back to you, or some of the compensation program, just the reality, they probably didn't watch it, or they didn't watch it undistracted, or they didn't read the comp program. My questions would start pointing very quick and started saying things like, okay, well, how much of the video did you watch? And not this hardcore, but kind of going this direction. What makes you think that I want to bring you on board if something as simple as watching a couple videos and having some educated questions for me is pushing you too far out of the envelope? What do you really think you're going to do with this kind of business? And I'm not saying that you say it in those words. I'm just saying that would be my talk track. Now, if on the opposite side I have somebody that took notes and they're like, yeah, I really like this part and I like this part, and I was wondering about this, about the compensation, and when they're coming back at you with a lot of stuff, you can say, okay, hold on, let's just take this one at a time. Okay, so what was the one thing you liked the most? And talk to them about that a little bit, and start finding some triggers that are on the positive. And that's why you want to do that, because you can always revolve back to those positive triggers. They're going to want to take things negative. Joan, Darlene has said it, I've said it. People buy on emotion and back it up with logic. And so the individual is just looking for one reason not to buy, but they need about 10 reasons to buy, especially when it's a product or something that they're unfamiliar with. Maybe they don't know that they need it. You have to build the value where this product is concerned. And so this follow-up appointment, you're building the value with the product as being your offering, but with the company. Who do you represent? How does the company stand as far as our moral, our ethics, our values? What is the pay scale like involved in coming on board with us? This is why we say it should be somewhat an interview with this individual, and I almost want to say not somewhat, it should be an interview, this second appointment, where you're really probing to find out how vested were they. Answer questions. If these individuals have questions for you in this process while you're going through it, maybe you're of the mindset to get your information out and then go back and answer questions. If that's the case, make sure you write down their questions. I've been an individual, depending on who I'm talking to, if they have one or two questions, I'll answer them during this section while I'm going through kind of the interview and what did you watch and what did you like and all that kind of stuff. If it's one question right after another, I'm going to say, okay, so let's get a list of questions that you have, and some of these may overlap, and let's attack these one at a time. This is where utilizing individuals that you may have in your upline, the corporate office, three-way calling, things of this nature may be a benefit to you. But I do want you to always know that if you can't answer the question, it's okay to say, great question, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out and let you know, or that's a great question, let me double check for you. Some of you have direct contact with your leaders, you have their cell numbers, you can just dial them up, you all are friends, you can interact. I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper where the three-way call is concerned. Just know you have resources at your disposal. If you can't answer a question right then, if you can't answer the question right then, you can find somebody that can answer the question, and people are going to know if you're just trying to shuck and jive or make something up. There's two things that I want to make sure that you understand in this recruiting process and when you're working with the client. When you're in the recruiting, number one, you cannot want it for the client, for the prospect, more than they want it for themselves. That comes from Darlene. She's said that so many times. You cannot want it for the client more than they want it for themselves. And Joan says you want them to sell themselves on the benefit of joining the company, that they see a physical benefit, that this is not something that is just etherical and we're going to join a company and we're going to go to meetings and No, this is a business, and allow them to sell themselves. Give them the information, ask the questions, allow them the opportunity to sell themselves on the idea of becoming an agent. But all of that, again, is going to come from the questions that you have and the resources that you have at your disposal. So for a moment here, I want to talk about the power of the three-way call, because I think we have really forgotten about this. And the three-way call has been around for a long time, and there's an old saying, who is the expert? He's the man in the briefcase. He's the man from out of town, man or woman. He's the third person on the phone that's brought in. And so many times in a three-way call, the individual calls up, they're excited to have a recruit for recruiting or for a sale, and they make the call, and all they do is they talk about the recruit to the person they're calling as the authority, as the expert, the three-way person they're calling, their upline, the corporate office, whoever that is. So many people make the mistake of putting all the focus on the prospect when it should be the other way around. The focus should be on the individual that you're bringing into the three-way call. And this is calling your sponsor, your upline, your accountability partner, or a person inside of Worth. Doing a three-way call reinforces your connectivity with Worth, with your team, to this new prospect, whether that be a recruiting prospect or a sales prospect. That three-way call is a solidity that you have your finger on the pulse, that you can get in touch with somebody if you need to. It also brings them in, and they're now hearing a third voice. And many times, I've told this story many times before, and I'm not going to give out the names and all that and go there, but just make a long story short, many times I've seen a sale that somebody has worked on for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and it comes together because somebody else says something. There's another voice that speaks into the process and asks some very simple questions that the other person didn't think about asking, or maybe the other person didn't think was relevant, or maybe the customer didn't think was relevant. Sometimes just getting that third voice in there is the difference between success with your recruiting and sale and not having it. Don't be embarrassed to call somebody and ask for help, or introduce somebody to somebody in your upline and get that warm fuzzy. Remember, recruiting is a social activity. Have a conversation with the client. Be malleable. Put yourself in a position to be able to consider their ideas and interact with them on a level beyond just, when I say it should be sort of an interview, interact with them beyond the level of just like an employer, like you're sitting there giving them the hard eye, do you want to work for me? No, it's a social environment as well. When it comes to recruiting, what kind of support would you offer up to a recruit? What is there? What is available? How will you help lead them? What are you feeling right now? You have to connect with this individual. If they can't answer the question, they have the ability to get in touch with someone who can. So even if you do come all the way down, you've put them on the phone, you've talked, if they can't answer the question, they're a phone call away from somebody that can, or directing you to a video that will answer that question. On your three-way call, like I said, that mistake is always placed on the individual that you're calling in with, not the person you're putting on the three-way. It's a lot of emphasis on the prospect. What I want you to remember is to edify, edify, edify. Always, always, always highlight the leader that you'll be introducing them to help you with your three-way call. This is the number one mistake of agents, is they highlight the prospect over the leader. We have to turn this around and highlight the leader instead of the prospect. And these are little things like, this person is really busy. This person is, my upline. They run a large, contingency of agents. I'm going to try to get them on the phone, whatever that looks like, and we're going to go into that in just a little bit as well. Appointments are great, but not always necessary. If you give the proper, hey, look, I'm just going to try them on the phone and see if I can get them. I usually, call them and set something up where we can have a call. But let's see if we can't get them. And if you don't get them, it's not a big deal. The idea is strike while the iron's hot. If the three-way is the only thing that's going to push it forward, and you don't have something set up and you're sitting right there, yeah, I think I would make the three-way call and just ask the person, can I have a moment? And I would bring the leader into it. Hey, I'm sitting in somebody's house and we're down to, recruiting them or selling them the product or whatever that looks like. And I just really need you to chat with them for a second. I told them about you and I want to introduce you. They might ask you a couple questions about the, you want to preface your leader a little bit before you just blindside them with the three-way call. So set up your leader for success. Let the prospect know the leader is super busy, but you're going to give them a call impromptu to see if they're available. If the leader's not available, then we'll need to set up a time for a three-way call. If you know you'll need a three-way call at the follow-up meeting to seal the deal, then schedule the call with the leader in advance. If you know that's coming down the pike, give the leader a heads up. Tell them about the client. Tell them what's coming down the pike, that you're going to want this three-way call to seal the deal. Another option you have is calling agent support with the prospect on the phone and ask questions. This will show the agent prospect how easy it is to contact with support with any questions they may have, how easy it is to flow through our system, what it is that we do. In this follow-up appointment, you want to remind them about direct-to-director promotional if you're signing them up as a Recruit Monthly promotional, what's going on right now for May, the Worth Rewards program, what that looks like, why it's important to advance, why this is such a solid offering of bringing you in as a director, what that actually does for you. The next piece that I want to say to you is that this all should just be falling into place if you followed your 4 steps and you're now here to this point of recruiting them, and you've done your gain interest and they really did watch the videos and you've had a good conversation. It is somebody you want to connect with. They see the value in becoming a part of the company. I mean, the buy-in's what, $149 to come in as an agent, or $250, and you get the program for 90 days. And come in and have the option of going direct to director as a new, the entryway to being successful in the business is so small now that's not the question. If somebody is pounding you on whether you have a $99 option or a free option, I just want to let you know, chances are they probably won't do much with the program. People that have buy-in, that buy the program and use it for themselves, actually have a higher sales rate than people that don't. The same thing is going to hold true for individuals that pay to become a member of Worth Unlimited and be able to offer this phenomenal product, or individuals that say, hey, can I get a free sign-up because I was with ABC, or can I get the $50 renewal? I know I let it lapse. The reality is this, people. You're looking for people that want to build a business, that want to make money, that have a focus outside of just being a part of something. You want people that are going to produce. So give them the next steps to moving forward. If you're having this positive conversation, the next step is joining is easy. We can sign you up right now. This goes back to striking while the iron's hot. If they're giving you all the indicators, just say it's simple to sign you up. Let's just go in the back office. We'll sign you up right now. You'll be an agent with Worth. You'll get a email. You'll have access to your back office. We can run your analysis. We can begin your training. We can do everything that we need to do. %60 of people have a hard time closing. I think that number is as high as it is because people think about it as closing, not as having a conversation. You've given them the correct information for them to make a purchasing decision. And yes, becoming an agent, they are making a purchasing decision, which is purchasing Worth to be their business, to be their ancillary product, to be whatever that value proposition piece was that you did in your qualifiers and tie downs. The closing should fall into place when it comes to recruiting. If you've followed the steps, if you've asked the right questions, if you've moved the client along, you have a good feel right now or not if you want them on board. And if they're showing any hesitancy whatsoever, or skepticism with the idea, I really am not the guy to try to convince somebody when it comes to recruiting. I'm just not. They either see it or they don't. And for me, when they see it, it's usually, wow, this is awesome. Yeah, I'd like to do this. I'd like to offer this to my friends and things like that. And I think that sounds great, but I think we missed something there, and that is, I want you to understand you do have to do some training with this product to really understand the product. If you, and I'm not saying you say this in this conversation, but this should be in cursory conversations, after you have actually signed them up as an agent. We need you to watch the videos. You need to understand the language. You can't just go out talking about the product or throwing videos and not knowing what you're talking about. You have to have some conceptualization of how the program comes together, how it guides people, what it does. The tools that are available at your disposal. You should be very familiar with the tools that you have. Recruiting doesn't have to be hard if you just follow the process and guide the prospect, and above all, use the tools that have been put in place to help you achieve this end goal, recruiting an individual. So once you've done that and they say, okay, yeah, let's do this, let's get it done, then you want to begin the training and support, and this comes with some very basic steps, and that's run your personal analysis, become a product of the product. If they have debt, they should be buying the product. Create goals, identify their why. Why are they in this game? What is it they want to do? Create a B2B list, a list of people they know. There's something that everybody says on this call as well, and that is don't decide who should hear the information and who should not. When you're talking about recruiting, the 3-foot rule, the 2-foot rule, the 5-foot rule, anybody that'll listen to you talk about something you love. If you truly love this product, it's easy to talk about. And it doesn't have to be talked about in the context of getting them out of debt. It's, I make great money doing something I love. And that is helping people get out of debt. I offer a product. I have a great business. I'm looking for additional agents. I'm looking for people to help build my business, build their own business, be their own boss, blah, 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 whatever that looks like. Help them articulate their story. This is big, and I think a lot of leaders forget this. When you get a new recruit, so tell me your story. What led you to the product? Okay, did you buy the product? Okay, you did. Why? What was it about the product that made you want to buy the product and get on board? Okay, you're not buying the product. Why aren't you buying the product? Help them articulate their story. Pick up the phone and call prospects. There's nothing more important. Jones says that every single call, your database is the most important thing you have. Pick up the phone and start making calls, and have your leader help you with a very canned statement like, hey, Mike, this is John, and I just wanted to reach out to you. I'm working with a company, and I've come across a very exciting program that's helping tens of thousands of homeowners across America. And I was wondering if I could get your eyes on it. I would like to get your opinion. Or, hey, I've come across the product. I'm very interested in it. I think I'm going to do this as a business. I was wondering if I could get your eyes on this and see what you think of it. Hey, I am new to a business, and in this business we run financial analysis for people to pay off their debt in a very record time or accumulate multiple properties in record time. I need to practice this. I need to be able to practice running an analysis. Would you mind if I practiced on you? Would you have some time that I could take 15, 20 minutes of your time? We could get together and I could practice on you. You'd be amazed how many deals I have seen done through what is called passive recruiting. I just want to get your eyes on it. I want you to look at it. And so it's not just recruiting them for the products, it's recruiting them for the idea. And this is where you may pick up some recruits. Hey, I just want to get your eyes on this and see what you think of it. I'm thinking of offering this, but I'd like to get your take. Then sit them down, run their analysis, see where they are. Plug into the corporate training calls, the training teams, plug into the Monday night call that we have here, plug into the videos that we have up on YouTube, your back office, your agent portal videos. You have more than enough material there to begin your training, and stay in touch with your leader. Get an accountability partner. Get your leader to hold you accountable. You'll make this many phone calls. You'll have this many appointments. And if you're not doing that, there's an old saying that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So it's one of those ideas of whatever you put in your mind, whatever you put in the forefront, whatever it is that you place your focus on, you can bring that about with the right amount of work and the right amount of effort. But there has to be a conscious focus to that information. So for this evening, on some side notes, remember, don't judge someone and make a decision for them about joining as an agent. Have an open discussion and make positive determinations that are going to impact you, your team, and them. Hear them out. Be open to their ideas and suggestions. But don't make the judgment on who should hear it and who should and should not be. One of my favorite stories is an elderly woman I knew in Virginia back years ago, teacher, never sold anything, and she was one of our best performing agents out of Virginia. And that's a reality. And what it was she knew people. Now, had somebody judged her like, oh, you can't sell, you've never done, they had never had that asset on their team. So truly look at individuals for their heart. Why are they doing this? Will they put in some effort to get it done? Above all, is it just one question after another? Because that gets tiresome for everyone. You never know who needs or wants the extra income or feeling of accomplishment. So make sure you're prefacing your questions. You know, what would be important to you? What would you like to see change? No means no for now, not for good. Always remember that. No many times can be as situational as 3 days later, it's a yes. No could be no right out of the gate and talk to the wife that night, and it's a yes the next day. A yes could be a no the next day. We have to remember that yes and no are just responses that we get from individuals when we're in a sales environment. They're not a personal issue. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Say it 3 more times. Follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. We've talked about how, such a small percentage, 5-10% of the populace responds on the 3rd to 6th call. Joan showed us something. We put it up here on a call that you get better than a 60% response, or I think it was upwards of close to 80% response after your 15th attempt to get somebody on the phone or connect with them. And so I want you to know persistency is a big deal. And we always do that follow-up, 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 the fortunes in the follow-up. It's true. If you follow back around with people, if you always leave the door open, never just close the door, never end things on a nasty beat or a nasty taste, or, even if they're really skeptical, end it with, maybe we can revisit this in a couple months. Maybe you could take some time to look into this. Maybe when this becomes more of a priority for you. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. This speaks to the ethic, moral, and value of the company. Let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. Don't put a lot of words in there and excuses and my kids and this happened and that happened. Do what you tell people you're going to do. Be a person of your word. Be consistent. Be consistent and be persistent. Begin training with new agents right away. Get them hooked up with corporate and team training, site, back office, 800 number. Give them all the information they need and stay in touch with them. Allow them to feel a sense of connectivity with who you are as an individual and who we are as a company. So in summary, for this fine training that we've had this evening, finding prospects can be simple. You have potential clients and agents everywhere, but you do need to talk to them. Start the conversations. Create a sense of urgency by being a problem solver. Listen to what they have to say. Well, what if there was a way that I could show you how to come up with the money for that? What if there was a way I could show you don't have to keep driving the clunker? What if there was a way I could show you that you don't have to live paycheck? What if there was a way I could show you how to get the money for the kids' college? Just start the conversation. And don't tell them too much. Don't just, regurgitate on them. Stay the sales track. What if I could show you a way? Well, hey, I've got a couple of videos. I work for a company. We specialize in this type of thing, getting people out of debt, finding the money they need to do whatever they need to do. Would you be willing to take a couple minutes? It could be that simple. of bringing them into the conversation. Don't make the decision for others. You don't know who needs this program, an agent, client, or both. Allow others to make the decision about whether or not it's right for them. Prospect on purpose and prospect everywhere. I love that. I think prospecting is something you can't just do willy-nilly. I do believe that prospecting is something you have to be intentional with. I think you can have some unintentional prospecting where you go out somewhere and you just run into somebody and the conversation starts up and bing, bam, boom, you're in it. But I think your prospecting, just like your sales, should be intentional. You should have a goal. You should have a strategy set out. Integrate worth into your daily life. Have it become part of who you are. Keep the process simple. Just make it part of what you talk about, part of how you're helping people, part of never the frustrations, and we all have frustrations when we're in sales, but all the positive stuff that it offers to you to offer to other people. Simply guide people through the prospect. Don't be a secret business owner. You notice a resounding theme here. Get out and talk to people. Take action today. Get out and do something that's going to make a difference in your business. Continue doing something daily for your business and watch it explode. Do something uncomfortable for your business. Do something that propels your business forward and puts you in a position of being able to celebrate the little wins that will accumulate into the big wins that will be the success, that will be your success in recruiting and in this business. All right, with that having been said, I know that's a lot of information. I know Darlene probably has a couple comments she wants to make. Let's keep the comments short this evening if we can. And let me go to Darlene real quick. Darlene, are you there? All right, she is having trouble with her phone.
Hello. Hello.
All right, we have Darlene Preston.
Wow, that was a lot of information, and it's fantastic. A lot of good points in there, and it's great that it's going to be recorded. My recommendation is to go in and break it up, guys. Go in there and take each section. But you know what? The last part is keep it simple. Do something. Don't be a secret agent. So, Mac, I always appreciate being able to just add a little bit. But this is great information for the new guys that are on the call, as well as the refreshing agents that are on the call. The training is very important. I look at it this way, Mac. Think about it. What does your future hold for you? There's no crystal ball out there. We're not going to know exactly what's going to happen, but you know what? The place you set yourself, where you put yourself, is where you'll be. You are the most important participant in your future. You need to do something. The micro fads that go on, the special things that happen, that, you're going to do it this way and do it that way. But you know what? You have to find your rhythm. You have to find your path. So then you need to say, what do I want to be considered successful? So what does success mean to you? And how do you wish your life would go? And what type of future do you see yourself? Today, you have the opportunity to answer all those questions from just this information that we talked about. The most important thing is, where do you see yourself, and what information will you take forward and share with another person? The future, I look at the future as there's so many people to talk to, that the future holds that I can help another person change their life. How can you not talk to people? You can't hold it inside. So be ready to share that information. And another word you said earlier was persistence. I don't give up. If a person says, no, don't you ever talk to me again, well, that probably means they don't want to hear about it right now. And maybe in about 6 months they'll forget they said that. But seriously, guys, just feel it out. Know that person. I take the word N-O as K-N-O-W. They just don't know what they're missing. So I'll give them that little chance, but they'll be back. I've had plenty of people do the same thing that Mac talked about earlier. Say no right now. 2 days later or a week later or 6 months later and even a year later have said, you know, I couldn't do it. I need to get on this program. So you want to be able to share that information and know that what the future holds for you is limitless. You know, I mean, is unlimited. And you can do it. You just have to go do it. You can't let those naysayers stand in your way. So I was a little surprised that, you know, I could get through on the call today. I had a little bit of struggle there. But, you know, you don't let these stumbling blocks stop you. You use them as stepping stones to get to where you want to be. What do you want to do with your business? What do you want to do with your life? Is this part-time for you? Is this full-time for you? You know, you can do it in spare time as long as you use all the nooks and crannies in your life to talk to someone. And you don't need to know everything about this. Like Max said, it's a conversation. Even closing the sale is a conversation. But you have information to share. What you have in your hands right now can change many lives. So step out, go out, understand that you have support, and you can do anything. All right? So I just want to let you know that we're here to support you. Go for it. Thanks, Max.
Fantastic, Darlene. Thank you so much for the words of encouragement, and thank you for being a part of our training just consistently. And Harry, thank you. I know you're in the back there, and because he's always in the background, but thank you, Harry. And thank you for that wrap up there, Darlene. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and jump over to Dr. Joan. And Dr. Hackenstad, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So a lot of information tonight.
Yep.
Anything you would like to highlight, touch on, anything that jumps out at you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The reality is, if you followed sales track, this second appointment should flow pretty darn easily. The key is to make sure that they know what to expect, and before you end that first conversation in sales track, that you have scheduled your follow-up appointment. This appointment is the appointment that you set in stone. And then make sure, of course, you send them the videos. Make sure, as Max said, that you do review the videos so you know which ones to send. You always want to send a video that has the product. They have to have buy-in in the product. That doesn't mean they have to buy the product, but they have to believe in the product. So make sure there's at least a video about the product, and then make sure that you send a video about the compensation plan. I usually send the compensation plan video and the PDF. And then really that second appointment is just an extension and a further offering of what you already started the conversation with before. So you've already asked a lot of questions. You've really gotten to know them. And I can't emphasize enough how critical it is to ask. The very first question is not, did you watch the videos? Your very first question in that follow-up appointment is, what did you like best about what you saw? You want to force a positive reaction. This is going to reinforce their buying decision. If they've already become an agent, they may have already joined when you didn't know it, although you do get an email. It's now reinforcing why they chose to do that. If they did not become an agent already, they're now selling themselves on why they want to become an agent, on why they need to move forward. It's going to tell you what's important to them. It's going to tell you how to close them. That question is critical. The second part of it is, don't be shy and ask them, do you have any other questions? Because they probably have some other questions about the program, about the compensation plan, about something about being an agent. Don't be shy about that, because remember what Max talked about. You have a lot of resources available to you. You can call over to a corporate office with that prospect in front of you to get that question answered. You can call your upline. You can call your sponsor. You can call an accountability partner. There's so many people that you can connect with to make sure you can get that answer. And if you can't for some reason get that answer, you can always say, you know what, that was a great question. I'm going to get the answer for you. I'll be back in touch with you, and schedule another appointment where you can go ahead and get back in concert with them. So that's really the conversation. And then you just guide them forward. Hey, the next step is, it's going to be pretty darn simple to join as an agent. Here's my web link. Let's go ahead and do this right now, and we can get you going. You're going to get your agent ID right away, information to access your back office. You can start referring over to corporate. You can start running your own analyses. You can run your own analysis. So let's get you going. Let's get you going right away. Close them, and then begin training and support. So it's very simple. This follow-up appointment is going to be very simple, and as long as you followed sales track, you've asked the right questions, you've listened, more importantly, you've listened to what they have to say. This closing part really is fairly easy. It's fairly straightforward. And as Max said, all you're doing is guiding them through. So really focus on your prospect. Remember, when you're focusing on someone else, you forget about yourself, you forget about your fears, you forget about what's holding you back. And one of the best ways to focus on that prospect is to ask a lot of questions. Take action, be intentional, be purposeful, and for me, most importantly, value yourself and value what we have to offer. You aren't here doing them a favor. I'm sorry, they're not here doing you a favor. You are here literally doing them a favor, whether they're an agent, whether they're a client. You are here doing them a favor. It is absolutely not the other way around. Your only limits are the limits you impose on yourself. So take action now. Don't make excuses. Just take action and get out there and start the conversation that matters. Mac?
All righty, fantastic, Joan. Thank you, and again to you as well for always being so consistent on the calls. Great wrap up. I love the fact that you went back and just talked about the process, making sure that they understand, making sure that you understand your material, and the fact that if you have followed the process, your closing really should just fall into place. One of Joan's favorite quotes is, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Just get out there and talk to people, and you'll find that people are much more receptive when you're not trying to pitch them or sell them on something. If you are just having a conversation, make Worth a part of who you are, so it's organic, it's natural in your conversations, it doesn't sound imposing, and get out there and help people realize their financial potential, their financial destinies. If you have any questions or concern, you can contact me or Worth Agent Support or your upline. And I want to thank you so much for joining the Worth Unlimited Agent Update and Sales Track Training for May 21st, 2018 for Worth Unlimited. The training team on the webinar this evening, Dr. Joan and Darlene Preston. Let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right. But at the very least, let's get out there and do it right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.